and we are greatly appreciative of him and of all of you. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. Yes, we got love, truth, and freedom in the house today. And we are celebrating because we know the truth that love always wins. And love is why we showed up. That's the answer. We know both the question and the answer. How can we love more? And here we are to answer that question. And Chris, thank you so much for that powerful meditation. Leon Johnson did the music behind the meditation. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Many blessings to you. So welcome to God's party. Yes, God is in the house because we showed up. Yes? Our theme this month is still the soul's call. So if you're wondering why you're here, it's because the soul woke you up and called you to show up and sit in the seat that you're in right now. And the wisdom topic today is evolving as love. Yes, reminding us that there is a human revolution taking place, and it's all about love. It's all about our human evolution, that we are evolving into truly human beings. And so we have Gloria in the sound booth. She's working the magic behind the scenes, taking care of our technology. And of course, our musical inspiration today is Elizabeth Hangan, who is getting ready. Yes. And she'll be accompanied by the Sunday band. Chris Glick tickling the keyboards. Leon Johnson over there on the bass. Leon. And Brother Brian Menifee holding it down with percussions in the corner. Thank you, Brian. Brian is also serving on our board, so he's doing like double service, and we are greatly appreciative of you, brother. Thank you. And I forgot to mention that Mindy is in the Zoom room facilitating the live streaming from the Zoom room. So let's give Mindy some love. Thank you, Mindy. And so let's get God's party started with some, Gabriel, as always, has put together a music video to help anchor us in love today. So let's enjoy that, and then we'll come back. We'll meet our practitioner of the day, who is, again, Chris Glick. He'll lead us in the invocation and the inspirational reading, and then we will move on to the greater yet to be. Namaste.
When I forget,
when you forget,
will you remember for me?
I will remember.
When I forget,
When you forget,
will you remember for me?
I will remember. I will see what you can't see.
When I forget,
When you forget,
when I forget,
I will remember.
when I forget,
I will remember.
when I forget.
It's beautiful, huh? So now I'd like to ask Chris to come on up and do our reading and invocation.
Good morning, Ahiah.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to be here today, celebrating Father's Day. So happy Father's Day, everybody. This is like the best. And, you know, the soul is where we're at today. We're talking about it. And I would like at this time to invoke this as spirit. As spirit is right here, right now. I see it. You see it. You're it. I'm it. In this place of divine recognition of what and who and how spirit is, I know that it is all. I know that this presence is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. And, you know, those big words are just so powerful because not only do you hear the words, but you feel them and the real meaning of them. That is the meaning that is deep in your soul because you are one with this presence. I am one with this presence. God is, I am, you are. In this recognition of this presence, which is the eternal soul following each of us from whenever, and it never ends. And all we do as now is we just recognize it. We take it in. We breathe it. We know this is the truth. We know that this truth is love. We know that it is peace. It is unity, abundance, intelligence. For these are the qualities of who we are as God. We walk this precious time, which we call now, that we just keep walking. Time is nothing, but the soul is everything. And I just want to thank Spirit for this, and I want to thank Reverend Scott, Reverend Michael, all the practitioners, all the ushers, all the people that help us make this happen. Gloria on the sound, Elizabeth Hangan bringing the angelic vibrations, Leon bringing the music, Brian bringing the music. It's just what it is, and we give thanks for this because that's what it's about, is being thankful and loving. And in this thankfulness, in this place of pure love, I just know that Spirit makes no errors, and all that is manifest as I recognize the presence. And I release this word to the law of Spirit, of God, knowing that it multiplies 10 times, 10 times, 10 times. And this is the truth. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. Thank you. Today I'm going to read from High Mysticism, which is a book by Emma Curtis Hopkins. Many of us are familiar with her writings. So I'm going to start on page 108. Our own soul, our own free spirit, forever says in bold faith, I am truth, I am God, omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience. The outer appearance, the cocoon, the hard chrysalis, vibrates when the words of immortal soul are spoken silently or audibly, as the chandelier hums when its keynote is struck, or as the brim of a bell resounds when its hidden tongue hits it. Paganini said he could shake any building by maintaining the note that caused it to vibrate. By speaking the truth of and to our own soul or self, we strike the true key tone to the body of flesh and its mind and emotions. We can speak in silent language or audible words the truths of the transcendental self that cause health, happiness, and helpfulness to radiate, and this speech wakes the soul type of man to walk on the earth. A great modern philosopher says the spirit is ever rising up in wrath against the forces that would brutalize it. The soul is ever striving for independence of matter. But the truth of soul is that it ever dwells in calm majesty, striving against nothing. The heathen philosophers spoke more wisely. Nothing can injure the immortal principle of the soul. Truly my soul waiteth upon God, sang David to a noble tune on a stringed instrument. Truly my soul waiteth on God. And the angry javelin of the angry Saul could not reach him, for he had keyed himself to uninjurable immortal soul by voicing its invigorating truth. It is not what happens to us that makes us healthy, happy, radiantly helpful. It is what we harmonize with, and we harmonize with what we describe. The winds of misfortune and pain hit everyone sooner or later, but they do not touch our self. Truly, my soul waiteth upon God, we sing. My soul doth magnify the Lord, we chant. We set ourselves to the heavenly soul key by praising our innate lordship, our eternal identification with divinity. 'Tis the set of the soul that decides the goal, and not the storms of life. Thank you. Namaste.
Oh, thank you, Chris. You know, Emma Curtis Hopkins, she is known as the teacher of teachers, and one of her last students was Ernest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy. So her manner of speech is from the late 1800s, but the wisdom that she brings is immortal. So I'd like to ask Elizabeth to come on up. Oh yes, I have one right here. You know. Oh, okay. And while she's coming up, Linda White brought us a Happy Father's Day balloon.
Harris, is where you want me? Over here? Good morning, Ahiah. Good morning, Ahiah Expanded. I don't know if my mother's watching or not, so I better act right. I'll get a phone call later. Happy Father's Day to all fathers and all father figures. My own father passed in 2008, and he was quite a man, person of people. He's a great musician, educator, just someone who loved people and was very concerned about the circumstances of people and how they lived, and he overcame a lot. So I miss him. So this song, this is Shower the People. Shower the people you love with love. Well, you can play the game, you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. Tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. If you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. You can run, oh, but you can't hide. This is widely known. Now about what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone. Now, once you tell somebody how you feel, you'll begin to feel that too ease. You know, I think it's true. I think it's true what they say. You know what they say? They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So come on, just shower the people you love with love and show them the way that you feel. Those things are gonna work out fine if you only will. If you only will, shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Those things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Do you hear what I'm saying? Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way. Show them the way that you feel. 'Cause things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Oh, got to say it one more time. Shower the people you love with love and show them the way that you feel. 'Cause things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Yes.
Shower the people.
I think we could use a little rain, right?
I think so. Rain of love. Rain of love. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. It's so good to see you guys. I just want to let you know that our COVID rules have changed because the governor's guidance has changed. So being in the sanctuary now is mask optional and social distancing. Don't worry about it. If you wish to be social distance and wear a mask, absolutely, we've got the fellowship hall waiting for you to just come in. And that goes for you folks out at home. We've given you an option. You get to go either way, right? So, uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, so good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Reverend Scott Olson. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. And today is Father's Day. And how many of us are fathers out here today? Yes, Troy's all the way in the back. Joel, Mike, Leon, Chris, Brian, Reverend Mike. Absolutely. And Aaron too, right? Yeah. And so, you know, we are, we're blessed to be fathers, I think. Blessed in being father. And I think it's appropriate that we've got Father's Day in June, and the theme for June is A Soul's Call. Because for me, being a father, you know, is a bit of a soul's call. I didn't want to be a father for a long time. I had made that choice early on in my life, you know, 18, 19 years old, where I decided I wasn't going to be a father. You know how you make those choices when you're 18, 19, you know, everything's black or white right then. And I wasn't going to be a father. Now I'm gay, but nothing precludes being a father, being gay. You can, you know, even biologically be a father. But I chose, when I was 40 years old, I've told this story before, but Gabriel and I walked out in our first year at our first CSL church, you know, coming to understand this philosophy. I was in foundations class at the time, learning that I could change my life. And all of a sudden, we walked out of church and there was a table there, and Orange County Adoptive Services were there. And we just walked over and we picked up some material and we talked to them for about 5 minutes, really. It wasn't very long. And, you know, we turned to each other and we said, We could do that. And it was that thing of the soul's call. It was being willing in that moment to change that decision, that way of thinking about myself from back when I was 18, 19 years old. When, we adopted kids out of foster care. And that's, if you're thinking about that, I would love to chat with you. I would love to, because there are so many kids in foster care that need a good home. And our first two boys we got when they were 13 and 16, and I remember going to see them that first time. And it's almost like there's that snapshot in my mind of the first time I truly saw each of my boys. For Cody, we arrived at their foster home, Cody and Dylan's foster home, the day after Dylan's 13th birthday. And Cody was already 16 years old. And I remember when he, something was said that made him laugh. And I remember his face lighting up. And that big Cody smile. And that's the boy I got to know. And for Dylan, he was 13 years old. He was a newly minted teenager. And I had the opportunity to see him, and that snapshot for him is this, tousled hair, dirty blonde boy with hazel eyes and wearing a green football jersey. I don't know why that stuck in my mind so much. And as soon as he, said hi to us, he ran off to his room to get his prized possession, which was an Altoid box filled with baby teeth. And, that's an odd thing to be a prized possession, but when you're in foster care and you move so many times, it's hard to keep anything. And so he had this one thing of his that he could share. And then 4 years later, we went back and we got Jonathan. And Jonathan was 6 years old. In fact, I met him on his 6th birthday at Chuck E. Cheese, of all places. And the snapshot in my mind for him is I had taken him out to play video games. And I remember standing behind him, and he was only, belly button high. And I remember just looking down at him, and every once in a while as he was playing his video game, he would just look up. And that's the memory I have. And so when our soul's call brings us to love, we get to move and we get to experience that love. And for me, that experience is different than many of you who have experienced fatherhood and had the joy of the little tiny baby, right? My babies were much bigger. But it's the same. It's that same bonding. It's the same love. And so, I think that soul's call to be a father is just kind of a reflection of the fact that we are, as humans, in the spiritual realm, we are both masculine and feminine. Right? We have the masculine aspect to us, we have the feminine aspect to us. That masculine aspect is what defines what will be created. The feminine is what births it, what creates it, what nurtures it. And so we get to live in this world as both masculine and feminine. And in this life that we live, in today's world, things change. Things are evolving. And in today's world, especially when you're working with younger kids, teenagers, young adults, it's no longer, male, female. If you're my age, we were taught you were either male or female. There was nothing in between. And now in today's world, there's something known as non-binary, where children, where people, where adults can say, I don't really identify strongly as either male or female. And then we use the pronouns they, them for people who identify that way. So there's, the world evolves, the world changes, and that's what we're going to talk some more about. And I'm going to ask Reverend Mike to come on up, tell us a little bit more about what he knows about the soul's call.
Thank you, Rev. Before I get started, I would just want to acknowledge your better half, Gabriel, for his heartfelt intention in putting together those evocative images with the music video this morning. It was just such a heart opener, and I realized the effort that he goes through every week to support us in that meditative process. So I just want to acknowledge him for opening us to love. I really love that this morning. And I have an announcement to make too. Friday, the 25th, 7 p.m. will be our second showing of movie night. We are still in the Zoom room, but we are holding fast for coming live into the fellowship hall. We will be showing the second installment of Your Intuitive Gift. And this one is section 2, How We Are All Connected. And it's a very powerful reminder about the power of the intuitive that's inside of us that connects us all by the silver thread. So join us in the Ahiah Zoom room Friday night, 7 o'clock. You can even bring your own popcorn if you want. It'll be fun. I forgot to introduce myself. For those that I have not met, I am Reverend Michael Bernard Lattimore, Assistant Minister. I'm the other half, Reverend Scott. Here, we're Batman and Robin, so we alternate, right? But our theme is Evolving as Love. And as usual, I had a talk already prepared. And Spirit downloaded a dream to me last night that just wiped that off the map. Said, nope, that's not what you're talking about. So I had a dream. And it was a, crazy dream, as dreams are, right? And the thing about dreams, you can't always share them because they don't make sense, right? But inside, our soul knows. We know what it means. Every character, everything that happens, we know what it means because it's our soul's call. It's Spirit's way of talking to me directly through the language of my soul, the language of my heart. And so the details of the dream were that there were 3 children that were wallowing around in water. They were lost in water. And there was a mother who was missing, and then a policeman. I got to interview all of them. I interviewed the policeman, the mother. She told me her story about how she had lost her kids, and then I even got a chance to interview the kids. And what I was so aware of through the whole dream is that I was willing to father these children. My heart was so open at their circumstance, the fact that they were lost, that they were struggling in this water, and drowning, right? And when I realized, when I came out of the delta and the theta waves this morning, I began to realize who I really am, right? I realized that I was the father in this dream, taking responsibility for these children, willing to love them, to rescue them, And these children were my little child, my middle child, and the rabbi. My 3 dads nurtured me through. Reverend Scott talked about his 3 boys. I had 3 dads. What a gift. Because Spirit knew that I was a hard case. I needed some help, extra help. And so my little child was nurtured by my uncle, Shelton Beckton. He was a Pullman porter, south side of Chicago. He came from the south. And on his meager salary, he sent me to Catholic school. I promised him I'm going to be a scientist when I grow up. I'm going to be a scientist, I promise. And he bought me microscopes and telescopes and chemistry sets, you know. But the most powerful gift that he gave to my little child was that when I was a child, I was different. My auntie used to say, he's sensitive. We can't let him, you know, go to funerals and things. My first funeral was my grandmother's funeral, and I insisted that she was not dead, that I saw her move, and that, you know, and what I know today is that I saw her soul, that she is not dead. Her soul was very much alive and communicating to me, and I tried to tell somebody that, and they were like, no, this boy, he needs some help. So she stopped me from going to funerals. But I realized that I was empathic, that I had these senses like that this film we're going to see Friday night, right? We have 6, 7 senses. Not only the 5 senses, but we have the 6th sense of intuition, right? Of knowing. And then we have the 7th sense of direct knowing, direct receiving from spirit. And so my uncle knew that about me. He knew that I was an empath, that I didn't have good boundaries. I was picking up everybody's energy. And sometimes I would just be in a funk, just down in the pits and not even knowing why. And my uncle, bless his heart, I honor him. He'd see me in that state. He'd say, come here, boy, come here. And he'd say, sit down right here. And he'd have me sit down next to him. And then he would rub my head. It was like an activation. It was like, how you magnetize a needle, you just rub it on something that's magnetic, and he would rub my head. And then he would say to me, I know the voices of the ancestors were speaking through him, because he would say to me, boy, you're going to be somebody when you grow up. He said, look at me. And I'd look up into his eyes and I'd see the spirit of the ancestors saying, Sawubona, I see you. I see you. He knew who I was and why I was sent here. And he'd say, you're going to be somebody, boy. He said, you hear me? And I said, yeah, Uncle. Yeah, And so he activated that little child. His soul connected to my soul and reminded me that I was here for love, that no matter what it felt like, that it was about love. My middle child was nurtured by my godfather, Milton Cortez Lamb Jr. He was an amazing black man in the 60s. He had a master's degree. He was a DJ on WVON, WBEE, an alderman. He was an activist. He taught me about the power of the neighborhood, of community, like what we have here, that we belong to each other. We are each other's neighbors, We're each other's keepers. And he taught me that. He had me go do cleanups in the neighborhood. We cleaned up the street. We had a block club. When the old folks got sick, I had to go take pies over to their house and go in these old homes, creepy homes that look like museums with all this stuff in it, He activated me. And he saved me from the streets. He got me my first attorney when I got trouble. I was 16, right, out there trying to howl at the moon, and trying to represent. And he saved me. He loved me unconditionally. And he introduced me to creativity, my own creativity. One time we did a reading in Hyde Park, south side Chicago. It was Death of a Salesman. And I was so nervous. My tongue felt like a cow's tongue in my mouth. I was just like, but I remembered my lines perfectly. And all I remember about that day was the last line. His last line was, Biff, he likes me. It was Death of a Salesman, in case you're wondering, right? But one day, I'm coming from the north side. I'm on the subway in Chicago, and a street theater troupe took over the train car. And they performed a revolutionary play called Migo and the Green Ball of Freedom. And I was captivated. And the cops came and chased them off, and I followed them all and ended up in the basement of the 2250 Ickes building. That's the projects in Chicago, where the Nomo Theater troupe rehearsed. And I joined up. And that expression of creativity saved my life. It was a way in which love moved through me and allowed me to heal and to use it in an uplifting way rather than, you know, the dark pull of those streets that was happening in Chicago back then. And the last line of our play was, "It is not one who goes first that matters, but rather one who achieves and returns, so that all may be free." And that was Migo and the Green Ball of Freedom. That was my middle child, nurtured by my godfather, Milton C. Lamb Jr. And finally, my rabbi was nurtured by my pops. My dad and I were not together for much of my early life. However, when I was 9, I found out about him. He sent me a Concord tape recorder, which was how I created my first podcast. That was even before podcasts were popular. And I won't bore you with the details, but my first podcast was called Junebug and the Electric Chair. It was hilarious. At least to me it was. I had fun, you know, right? But I came to see my dad in 69, and when we got up to the front of the house, we were unloading my luggage, and I saw a sea of shoes outside. And then I heard a steady drone, and I looked at him in puzzlement, and he says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm Buddhist." And I said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, we chant for world peace through individual peace. We believe that if you're peaceful, that you can create peace in the world." I said, "Oh, really?" And he opened the door, and I heard the Lotus Sutra that my soul already knew. They went, "Niji says on Juzan my anjo nigi go chario shobuchi, Jinjin Murio go chi manange nano, Isa shoman hakashi buzovu no chi." And I knew that I'm a bodhisattva of the earth, that I promised to come back and to help all beings achieve enlightenment. My soul knows that, because I recognize that chant from before. My pops nurtured the rabbi. You know, Jesus was 12 years old when he was recognized as a rabbi. He called it out. And so me and my dad would have those debates. I'd be calling it out. And he would say, "You got to get inside and change this thing. It's about human evolution." I was like, no, this is revolution. We got to tear it down. We got to burn it down to the ground. Today I say, "Pops, you were so right. Thank you for helping me to find my center as an evolutionary in this human revolution taking place right now. Right now it's happening." My dad nurtured that rabbi. And today I honor my 3 dads. I honor all the dads on the planet today, especially you, Rev, because you're close to my heart, brother. I know the Divine Father can move through any of us, even mothers, even if you feel like you're not a parent. That Divine Father can move through you to do what it does, to remind us that it's revealing only love. And like the story of the prodigal son, we can always return home. We can never lose our spot at home. And what I've learned is that love is willing to move towards what is right. That healing is the application of loving to the places inside that hurt us. And these dreams that we have, that we feel like we can't share, we can in fact share them. Because the details are not important. But we must always remember that they are always about love. Namaste, family. Happy Father's Day. Happy Juneteenth.
Oh, thank you, Rev. Thank you, Rev. So, as Reverend Mike mentioned, today's talk title is Evolving as Love. And so I want to, I think we all recognize evolution, that term evolution, because we're familiar with biology and we're familiar with all that. And there's actually still quite the controversy in the world around, is evolution true? Is it not? But let's just start off with the definition of evolution. It's showing on your screen at home. And it is the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. That's what it means, to go from simple to complex. And so, Darwin put forward this theory of evolution, and it's biology talking about science and what it means. And I think we are fairly familiar with the basic idea that, you get these mutations, and then that mutation either survives or it doesn't survive. It's kind of the survival of the fittest is the normal term. It's really a little bit more like survival of the fit enough to breed, to have offspring. That's what it really, really means. And, we are taught all this, and, I got it in high school. I don't know where you learned it, but I got it in high school. And we understand this I was recently at a dinner last week where I don't go to dinners like I used to when I was 20. Dinners back then was a whole different thing, because at this dinner, the topic of conversation was brought up by one of the people at the dinner whose wife is a member of Science Mind. She's a member of our CSL philosophy. But he isn't. He's supportive, but he really isn't. And so he wanted to know from the people who are there, who are all part of this philosophy, what does this philosophy teach about evolution and the theory of evolution? Well, there were two ministers at the table, so you can imagine there was a lot of talk going on, right? And there were 6 people total there, and the conversation was going in a lot of different ways. So if you're watching today, which you might, I'm just going to say it a little bit different than I said it then. I've had a little more time to think. So let me give you a little more of a thought about what that actually means. Well, first of all, Science of Mind is the name of our philosophy. It was given to us by Ernest Holmes back in the 1920s, not the 2020s, but the 1920s. And so it's a fairly old name. It's been around for 100 years. And he named it Science of Mind because to him, this is science. To him, this is the same as maybe not hard science like physics, but soft science, more like sociology or something like that. It's very similar. And what makes it a science? Well, if you're going to be a science, it's a scientific method. You guys, raise your hand if you remember the scientific method. Who are you guys? Well, I'll just refresh your memory, right? The scientific method is simply, you have a hypothesis, you go out and you test the hypothesis by observation, and then if the hypothesis is proved by your observations, everything is great. And if it's not, then you go figure out why. That's scientific method. Well, our philosophy is very similar to that, don't you think? In physics, an example of this is you would take a ball and you would have a yardstick, with a groove in it, so the ball rolls down the center of the yardstick, and you would take a video camera and you'd tape the ball rolling down the yardstick, and then you would compare how far the ball went down the yardstick to the answers that you would get with the equations given the Newtonian physics of our day, right? So you do all this, you do all that, you do all your calculations and everything, and you compare the two, and if they are like this, you're good. If they're out here somewhere, something's wrong, right? In our philosophy, it's similar, right? For me, in this, I came to this philosophy over 20 years ago. And the first thing that I heard when I walked in the door was, see if you've heard this one, change your thinking, change your life, right? It's been around for a while. Ernest Holmes was famous for saying that. And change your thinking, change your life. Well, have you ever noticed that that happens? Change your thinking, change your life. Now, the thing is it's not so simple as putting a ball on a yardstick and measuring it, right? And if it's slightly off, then, something's wrong. Because for us, what do we think? What are you thinking right now? What am I thinking right now? Well, I'm thinking about this talk, but underneath that, there's this whole level of the unconscious that's thinking that I have not a clue what it's thinking. So it's really hard for us to put together a simple experiment like the physics experiment. But if we look at it over time, if I change my thinking, over time I'm going to see not just that my life changes because I've changed. Here's the difference. You can go to a psychologist for that. You can go get counseling, and your life will change because you changed, right? Your perception of your life changes because of that work. But our philosophy says more than that. Our philosophy says our life, how our life is reflected back to us through the creative process, how our life shows up on a day-to-day basis changes because our thoughts change. Who would have thunk, right? So, from a scientific perspective, I think, we believe in science just like biology believes in science. Am I going to say that the theory of evolution is exactly 100% right? Well, we don't have some council in Centers for Spiritual Living that makes rulings on scientific theories. So, we don't have an official ruling or anything. So this is a la Reverend Scott, right? I would say God works through the physical laws all the time. Spirit doesn't change the laws of physics in order for it to create. It uses the laws of physics to create. And this is from a physicist, right? I am a card-carrying physicist. I have a master's degree from Caltech. I believe in that. I believe Spirit moves through the laws of physics in order to create in our lives. And Spirit is not bound by anything. So Spirit's not bound by some man-made theory of evolution. So if Spirit is in there playing around a little bit to make humans pop out, so be it. I don't know. I don't know how we exactly arrived here. Personally, I don't care all that much. I'm a physicist, not a biologist. But here's what I would say, is that there's nothing in that law, that theory of evolution, that precludes what we believe. Right? So it's okay. I'm good with it. Right? I'm okay with the theory of evolution, knowing that Spirit is in the mix. So enough about evolution. I thought, I don't normally talk science here. I thought I'd give you a little bit of science. But enough about that. Let's talk about evolution as love. And I want to give you two examples. The first of them is, as Reverend Mike mentioned, Juneteenth was yesterday, folks. And oh my God, on Tuesday, I heard that the Senate somehow unanimously passed it to be a national holiday. And I think it was by Thursday. It was signed by the president. Who knew that actually Washington could do anything that fast? Imagine that. But the truth is that America has a history. Because every nation has a history. And our history, you know, we need a Juneteenth. We need a Juneteenth to celebrate the changes in our history. We need a Juneteenth to recognize that slavery has been abolished, to recognize that Jim Crow laws are mostly out of the way. I'm not going to say they're all out of the way, but they're mostly out of the way. A holiday to, you know, to celebrate the fact that redlining is gone, which was a way of not giving people mortgages, right? So we have a lot in this nation to move forward from. We do. We have a lot to celebrate today in how far we've come, but we're not there. We still have room to go. We're evolving as love, though. And I just want to remind people of a saying that we have, which is from Fannie Lou Hamer. She says, "Nobody's free until all are free." Nobody. Because wherever there are chains on anybody in this world, there are chains on my heart, on your heart, whether we recognize it or not. So where we are in this world, in this time of really creating society anew, is to work towards freeing everybody. Nobody is free till everybody is free. Right? It's not guilt. It's self-interest, folks. You know, I want to be free. I want to live the most expansive life that I possibly can. And that means I need to help other people do the same. So that's Juneteenth. Another example I want to give is yesterday, Marcia's here today. Kelly, I don't see. But Marcia and Kelly and I, we had a practitioner paneling thing here. Now, if you're not a practitioner, you that probably is like gobbledygook. You have absolutely no idea what that means. But what it means, just real briefly, is it is the exact last hurdle that you have to go through in order to become a practitioner, a licensed practitioner in this philosophy. And the purpose of this panel is to, you know, we had two people from Seal Beach that had just finished their Prac 2 studies, and they were up here, and we got to usher them in. They both passed. We got to usher them into being a licensed practitioner, which was great. I mean, it's a great feeling. And I want to thank Kelly and I want to thank Marcia for helping me in that process. But, you know, when we were talking to them, we get to know them a little bit because they tell us about their lives and they tell us, you know, what their relationship is to God and how they see themselves. And we were all three talking about how we had, you know, we were remembering that. Now, both Kelly and Marcia are practitioner emeritus, which means that they are at minimum have been practitioners for 20 years, which I think is an awesome thing. And we actually have 4 practitioners here. We are blessed in this community to have 4 practitioner emeritus. And so we were talking about that, and it got me to thinking last night about the differences between me when 15 years ago, I became a practitioner. 15 years ago when I was sitting in that chair till today. And then I thought, well, what about over 20 years ago when I first walked into this CSL, not this one, but the one in Long Beach? What a difference. What a change. And it's this philosophy that's changed me. And I look back and I recognize that person that I was, kind of like, we're talking about evolution, right? Kind of like the Neanderthal that I was versus, the human that I am now. It's really that striking of a difference to me. The way I think is completely different than the way I thought before I walked into that Center for Spiritual Living. And it's a matter of us just recognizing this process that moves through us and as us. I talked about those demonstrations, right? I talked about change your thinking, change your life. That's what changes your life. Change your thinking, see the demonstration, know that your faith is being built by knowing it, by being aware of it, by seeing it in the process, and then go out and do what you need to do to continue the process. Whether that's taking classes, whether that's individual study, whether it's being on the internet, maybe there's classes or things there. Whether you're studying Buddhism, like your uncle, was it? Your father, yeah. Or, whatever. It is us being aware and us changing our thinking. It truly, truly does change our life. And so I want to leave you with an affirmation. Oh, actually, I want to say one more thing. About that baby that's been born, right? That I'm not the person I was then. I'm kind of like this baby up here, And the quote there, it says, a difficult birth does not make a baby any less beautiful, right? So whatever that process is that we go through, sometimes it's difficult. But getting that baby out at the end, that beautiful baby, it's worth it. So I'm going to leave you with an affirmation. It's up here on our screen if you'll say it with me. I move forward in my life from a place of love. Let's say it one more time. I move forward in my life from a place of love. And so as you go out into your week, what I'd like you to remember is, to listen to your soul's call. Listen to that voice inside of you. And what I know is it's asking you to evolve. Evolve as the love that you are. And tomorrow, by the way, is the summer solstice. So, don't forget to just remember that you are the light that you are. That's kind of what the message of the summer solstice is. And then finally, if any of this confused you, especially, that stuff about physics and evolution and all, if any of that confused you, it doesn't matter. Just let Spirit guide you. Thank you. Namaste. Oh, so let's just go within real quick, knowing absolutely this power, this presence that life is the life that we are, is the life that I am. It is that life that knows itself fully and completely and expansively in, as, and through us. That we move through this life with all the creativity that God is, with all the love that God is, as all the love that God is. And so it's from that place of knowingness that I speak my word as the truth of each and every one of us, knowing that we are this life, this power, this presence moving through as love. That we get to move and we get to evolve. That principle is not predicated on precedent, that no matter what has happened in the past, our future is bright like the solstice. There is so much light in our lives because we are the source of that light. We are the ever-present life that God is, as the light that shows the way, one step at a time. I know absolutely that we, as the wholeness and order that we are, naturally reveal the health and the wholeness that is our God-given right. I'm knowing that whatever is not working on our life, it can change. It can change because we have the grace that God is, that just knows us as the fact, the truth about us, that we are, each and every one of us, whole, perfect, and complete. And for knowing that truth, I just give thanks. And I release this prayer to the law, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind that God is. And I say life and God are good and very good. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. And so now's the time for our conscious contributions. And so I know that many of you have already given online, and especially those of you who are joining us online. But if you are here and you would like to give a conscious contribution, there are envelopes in the pews, and we will be collecting the donations after service is over. So we'll collect them at the exits. And so if you'll take whatever you're given virtually to your heart, and just repeat the blessing after me. And it's showing up on your screen here. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so now I'd like to ask Elizabeth, come on back up. She's going to sing us another song.
Hello again. So this song is called Do You Hear the Sound? I want to thank the band today because I came in with just pieces of paper and an idea, and they brought it together. So please, thank you. Not too fast. Do you hear that sound? It's the sound of my soul calling, pushing past the pain that once kept me silent. Whoa, reaching out to my highest power, 'cause Spirit says ask and you shall receive. I hear the sound of the road calling, not just any road, it's a road to my life's journey. I'm not worried, about the connection, just one step in front of the other, 'cause Spirit knows the direction to that place of peace, and that place of power, and that place of knowing. That's where Spirit led me, so just ask and you will receive. Now listen for that sound, some subconscious shifting, a burden lifted, of gratefulness, and above average blessed. Walked on up that hill and embraced the love that's waiting. And now you know know what you know, what you know, what you know. Now you know what you know, what you know, what you know. Now you know what you know, what you know, what you know. Now you know what you know, what you know. So just ask and you will receive. I said ask and you will receive. Oh yeah, just ask and you will receive. Oh yeah, hear that sound. Soul's calling. Hear that sound. Sound of your soul calling. Oh, hear that sound. Sound of your soul calling. Oh, are you listening? It's the sound of your soul calling. Oh, you got to answer that call when your soul is calling. Oh, you got to answer that call, 'cause your soul is calling. Oh, you got to answer that call, 'cause your soul is calling. I say, ask and you shall receive. Oh, ask and you shall receive. 'Cause you hear your soul calling, and it's one foot in front of the other to that place of power, and that place of peace, and that place of knowing, 'cause you know that's where spirit leads. Do you hear that sound? Oh, that sound of your soul calling, calling out to you, 'cause you got to make that change. That's what the Reverend said. You got to make that change. Don't sit silent. Oh, don't sit in your pain, 'cause your soul is calling, and you got to answer, yeah. Let that spirit lead you. Let that spirit lead you, 'cause your soul is calling. Do you hear that sound? It's your soul. It's your soul calling. Don't you ignore that sound. Your soul is calling. Your soul is calling. Do you hear soul calling? Are you listening to your soul? You got to one foot run the other to that place of peace, and that place of power, 'cause your soul is calling. Your soul is calling. Your soul is good. Can you hear that sound? So soul is calling. Spirit's calling. You know you got to go. I said one foot in front of the other. I said one foot in front of the other. Can you hear that sound? Your soul calling. Oh, your soul is calling. Yeah. Woo! Yes. Thank you, Spirit.
Oh my God.
Yes, we had to go there.
Oh my God. Oh. You know, talking about evolving as love, you know, from when you started that this morning to now, it's off the roof.
A lot happened between 12 and 8:30.
I know, you know. Oh my. Oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth. So, Brother Troy, would you come on up this way? While he's coming up here, I want to remind you guys that we have 10 wonderful practitioners here. And if you have anything heavy on your heart, would like prayer, I know many of you avail yourself of this. You can go and you can meet our practitioners. There's contact information here. Today, would the practitioners that are here raise your hand? We've got Marcia, we've got Myrna, we got Chris, we got Reverend Mike and I are practitioners also. Anybody in the back that I'm not seeing? Lake, yes. And so we're all available for prayer. And then we do have a ministry of prayer. You can put your prayer on a ministry of prayer card that's in the pews, and then just put it in the offering basket, and that'll get to us. And for announcements, Chris.
I'm going to use my hand.
Come on up here, Troy. Now, his birthday is not today. It's not even next Sunday. It's the one after. It's Monday after this, right? The 28th. But we would love to say happy birthday to him. And so we have a birthday balloon for you. And we have some cupcakes that you can grab one in the fellowship hall. And let's just sing happy birthday. You ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Troy, who we could never live without. We love you so much. Happy birthday to you. Yes. Thank you, Troy, for everything that you do for us.
I forgot to mention the reason we're doing it today is because you're going to be out of town next week, right? Absolutely.
Good.
Okay. So we have a couple of quick announcements. One, Harris is up on the ladder there, so we can't do two things at once. But we have and actually it's a good thing because I actually have to pull it up. We have a recorded announcement that we're going to play in just 1 second. Nope, that's the wrong thing. That's the right one.
This is Reverend Scott, and I want to tell you about our Foundations class that is starting soon. As we come out of the pandemic, I am seeing lots of people setting intentions and moving out in new directions. This is a perfect time to take a class at Ahiah and take advantage of that supportive environment during this time of change. I will be teaching Foundations, which is a class that shows us how to use the creative process in all aspects of our life. I think of it as giving us tools to put in our spiritual toolbox. It's a 10-week class starting on Tuesday, June 29th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. We will also be doing a powerful Saturday workshop, and we will set the date for that in class. Join me in class live at Ahiah, or you can attend virtually via Zoom. Either way, it's a great way to meet people at Ahiah and to let us support you on your spiritual journey. Go to ahiah.com/classes for more information. I hope to see you there.
Right. So we have that class, and then we also have Power of Your Word. No, I'm sorry. No, that's the one I'm finishing. Self-Mastery is the one that's starting the same day, June 29th. It's going to be led by practitioner emeritus Patricia Roach, and it's 10 weeks also, and it's from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. only live here at Ahiah. So you got to come here for this class. The Foundations class, you have a choice. You can either be here or be on Zoom. And so let's go ahead and do our benediction. So we've got some words up here on the screen. You're seeing them at home. If you would go ahead and read them along with me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it, I am it, and I share it. Just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. So it's so good to have you all here. I announced during the thing we've got a different protocol now. So if you've been waiting to not be in Mass, we've got it here. If you still want to be in Mass, we got it in the back. And we know that we're just all being safe and sane during this time of finishing out the whole COVID quarantine time. So I love each and every one of you. I'd love to chat with you. We're gonna head outside or head into the fellowship hall to get a cupcake. I'll be outside for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna see the people online on our Zoom room. Go to ahiah.com/virtual to hit the go to Zoom. Thank you, everyone. And now we got the band. They're gonna lead us on out. Thank you. I love you guys.
That was awesome. Yeah. Two.